Hello. In this video, we're going to look at common factoring techniques, and we're specifically going to look at situations where we factor out the coefficients. Common factoring techniques are really important. It is something that you should always be looking for in your mathematical processes, and when you common factor, it often will make later steps easier to accomplish. So again, I think of common factoring like a nervous tick. It's just something you're always looking for in your work. So you take a step, look for common factors. Take a step, look for common factors. It's kind of like simplifying in that way. Always take a step, look to simplify. Take a step, look to simplify. So I've told you in this example that we're specifically looking at coefficients. And so what we do is we look at the coefficient of each of the terms. So in this case, we have 3, 18, and 60. And then what we're going to do is we're going to ask ourselves, what is a common factor? What is a common factor of 3, 18, and negative 60? Notice there that I included that negative sign, and maybe in my highlighting I should really make that clear. So a common factor of all those we can quickly see is 3. So what I do in my next step is I put an equal sign and I write the 3, and then I open up a bracket. Now I say to myself, 3 times what gives me 3? And the answer is 1. And then x squared doesn't change. Then I say 3 times what gives me 18? And the answer is 6. And the x doesn't change. And then I say 3 times what gives me negative 60? And the answer is negative 20. And so now what I've done is I have common factored the 3 out. And again, just to clean this up, typically mathematicians don't write the 1 there. It's assumed. And we're done. And that's all there is to it. Let's look at another example. Now this first one was a quadratic, so and this is where we often see it in terms of our course right now. But over here, it's not a quadratic, but remember, common factoring can be done all the time. So what I'm going to do, excuse me, is some students need to do this initially, is I'm going to highlight the coefficients in each of the terms. So there we go. So now I'm going to say to myself, what is a factor of 12, 4, 16, negative 16, and negative 44? And the answer is 4. So then I say 4 times what gives me 12? And the answer is 3. And I write the unknowns there. 4 times what gives me 4? And the answer is 1. 4 times what gives me 16? And the answer is minus 4. Sorry, that should be negative 16. 4 times what gives me negative 44? And the answer is negative 11. If we've done this correctly, then there shouldn't be a common factor in any of the terms. Now, sometimes we don't see the best choice. So this is what some students would sometimes do. This is a possible approach. What a student might do is say, well, I know a common factor of 12, 4, negative 16, and negative 44 is 2. So they might go and factor out a 2, which would give me 6ab to the 4th, plus 2 times what gives me 4, 2c. 2 times what gives me negative 16, minus 8. 2 times what gives me negative 44, minus 22. And they might do this. But notice now you've made your actual expression much simpler to look at. And then you can say, well, is there another common factor here? And the answer is 2. So if we have this 2 already here, so I'm going to write that 2. And then times, and now I'm going to factor out that other 2 I just noticed. So then I say 2 times what gives me 6? And the answer is 3. 2 times what gives me 2? And the answer is 1. 2 times what gives me negative 8? And the answer is negative 4. 2 times what gives me negative 22? And the answer is negative 11. Oh, look at that, I made a mistake there. Let's go back here. This should be negative 8 CB, negative 4 CB. That's better. Okay, so that's how common factoring is. We're just looking for a common value that we can factor out of each coefficient. And again, if you don't see the best option, you can actually do it in steps along the way. But one last thing here is we want to make this look nice. 2 times 2 is 4, so we write it like that. And we're done. I hope that helped.